and welcome to Stephen University. This week we are discussing Restaurant Wars. And this is the point I normally go an episode in which and describe it, but no, that's not what we're doing.
We haven't done that in like 50 episodes.
It has been a while, hasn't it, actually? I feel that feels more recent than it actually is because I still do that part on our other podcast, Fringe Observers.
Yeah.
So, but you're right, I haven't done it in ages. We're 90 episodes in, Chris.
90 episodes. Jesus.
This is 90 episodes of Stephen.
This is a February episode, isn't it?
Yes.
Is it close to Valentine's? You know how we like to acknowledge the holidays?
No, you like to acknowledge the holidays, and then I like to fret about whether the scheduling will actually work out as I've intended. That's usually how it goes. I will find out.
It's still fun for me.
Oh, of that I am sure. Let's have a quick look. Episode 90 would go up. No, the last one was the closest, February the 13th. We didn't mention it.
Oh, well. Hope you had a good Valentine's Day.
This is February. This is February the 16th, from what I can tell.
Yeah, if you're in a relationship, hope you had a good Valentine's Day. If you're not, fuck them. Those happy pricks and snazzy Valentine's Days. I always worry. Like we're back. I'm back at. We're buying somewhere, so we're back at Mum and Dad's to make that easier. Where I record at Mum and Dad's is a lot more public facing, like people can look up and see me, and I always think I look really creepy. Like right now, I'm sat in Only Fools and Horses pajamas, which is an old 80s British sitcom for our American listeners, just with a big old microphone, just staring at the dude on a driving lesson opposite, wishing people on the internet a happy Valentine's Day for a month's time.
In January.
Drinking water I didn't finish last night. It's creepy, guys.
No,
talk about the episode.
Well, the guy isn't looking up going. He's talking about Valentine's Day. He can't hear that bit.
That's true.
But the guy
he probably thinks I'm documenting his lesson. Like, imagine the pressure. Imagine you're on a driving lesson and you're like, "Is that dude in the Only Fools and Horses pajamas giving a commentary on this?" He's doing quite well, to be fair.
I don't think I literally we find out his name, like, so his name will be like, you know, James or Dave, or, you know, it'll be some quite. I'm just predicting his name will be quite standard, and we'll just do like you know, Dave's driving, and every week there'll be a new podcast, and you can just be like, right, we're here, Dave's driving, he's doing all right.
Can you imagine you watch, because we usually record these with something else, like usually Fringe Observers, although we've only got 3 of those left. But can you imagine you go to the effort of, you watch both 2 episodes of TV, you make all your notes, you get ready, and then I'm just like, Dave's not on a driving lesson by the looks of it, so we'll record this another time. I just postpone the entire recording.
I'd be upset.
So that it can align with Dave's driving lessons.
I'm saying Dave's driving should be its own podcast. That's what I'm saying.
Right, okay. No, we do enough podcasts.
We do.
And I can't. It just be creepy.
It already is.
Thank you to everyone for the happy birthday love. There was lots of comments wishing me a happy birthday on the episode that went up around then. So thank you for that.
Which I forgot to pass on, but I'm assuming Chris's friend did.
Yeah. No, someone else told me. It's all good.
I'm terrible.
So. A Restaurant Wars. So Restaurant Wars is, you know, when you... no, I've got to stop tangenting. Never mind.
We were so good last week. We did no tangenting. I know.
It's not a big episode. It's fine. But I was going to say, you know when you shower and you get dressed really quickly after showering and you don't really dry your legs properly and they're all itchy.
No, because that's something we've established only you do.
Yeah, I've got that. Anyway. So it's just annoying. Restaurant Wars. So Restaurant Wars starts with Stephen. I thought you were coming
round to a point about the episode. Nope, you were just telling me how you feel.
What about my legs?
Yeah, I thought you were like, you know that feeling where this and that. Yeah. Well, that's how I feel about Restaurant Wars. Because it's this,
oh,
but
no,
it's that.
no,
No, you weren't coming round to some sort of point. You were just telling me that you got dressed too quickly without patting yourself down properly, you numpty, because you never do that. We've established on one of these millions of podcasts we've done over the years.
No, there was no
I
point.
thought you were
No,
coming
no.
around to something. Okay, go on.
No, let us know in the comments if you have this, or whether you think I should see a dermatologist.
You should see a dermatologist. You should just dry yourself like a normal person. Chris refuses. Just listeners, just to catch up in case you don't know about our previous conversation. Chris flat out refuses to use a towel to dry his body, like every other human on the planet. No, he likes to drip dry, which means that is an issue for him. That it isn't an issue for anyone else.
It's not an issue if I have long enough to genuinely drip dry. It's when it's when I've not dried at all, and I then put on clothes. So if I'm allowed the full...
Okay.
It takes like a good half an hour to fully drip dry, whereas I only had like 4 minutes.
So I have a question for you, Chris, then.
This has gone on longer than I intended.
I know, but I have a question for you, Chris. If drip drying is an option, why not then resort to, patting yourself down? If I can't get a lift somewhere, I don't then still just like get in a random car. Anyway, do you know what I mean? I then go to my next best option, which is, or not go. My next best option is to then get a public transport, bus, train. So why don't you then, if you prefer drip drying, that's fine. But in a situation where you've not got enough time to do that, would you not just use a towel? Like, I don't understand why this is such an issue.
I think it's because I did attempt that, but I so prefer the drip dry, and actually, as we've established, even if I like go to the gym, my post gym routine also involves drip drying, that I don't know how to effectively dry with a towel. So in your scenario, you always get a lift, and then you don't know the bus timetable.
Right.
Is my point.
But not knowing the bus timetable wouldn't stop me from getting a bus. I would just try.
No, and it didn't stop me from attempting it, but then you just sat on the bus with itchy legs. Is my point. Or you
These
just
analogies have gotten out of hand. How's Dave doing?
Restaurant rules.
How's Dave doing? Let's get an update.
Steve... Dave has done his manoeuvre and moved on.
Oh. Did it look like the driving instructor gave him a big tick on his clipboard?
Yeah, he looked pleased. He looked, everyone looked happy.
Good. Great.
Except Dave, who looked concerned by my presence.
Stay tuned for more updates. That's what you're all here for.
It's not even me with the timescale, it's you. Anyway.
Carry on.
So, you are literally going to miss the bus. Right, so Restaurant Wars is, we've bantered up top. Now it's just all episode. Restaurant
That's
Wars.
a promise we cannot keep.
Well, I think banter is equally a stretch. So it starts with Stephen going to the fry shop, and he wants something different. He doesn't want his fry bits. He wants something different, so he ends up with mozzarella sticks. Quick side note, mozzarella sticks are, without question, one of my favourite things in the world.
Mm-hmm. I'm aware of
I'll come back to that later. So he has the mozzarella sticks, and this sparks a restaurant war between the pizza place and the fry shop. Because it turns out they signed a treaty ages ago to say that they wouldn't sell competitive products. And because the mozzarella sticks has cheese, tomato sauce dip with it, and which is interesting because that wouldn't have been good if it was frozen. So, or I don't know how he had time to thaw out the sauce, but
But yeah, but that you could argue that's a sauce they serve with chips normally.
Okay, yeah, maybe. So bread, cheese, and
fries.
Bread, cheese, and the sauce. The pizza shops see that as competition, so they start restaurant wars. Stephen and the children of the owners, whose names I can't remember, decide to kind of form a pact and try and resolve this. The first plan involves pretending that Ronaldo and Kitty are a couple, which gets Ronaldo in trouble with his Kiki, which gets Ronaldo in trouble with his actual girlfriend Jane. Which is amazing because as much as we've criticised Ronaldo, you do feel sorry for him in this episode. They do that quite effectively. It's a shame. Jane seemed lovely. So in the end, Stephen opens his own restaurant, and their fear of Stephen's restaurant, because he's doing things like putting the sauce in the chips. Just thought about long and hard about whether that was possible. And it's a greater chef than me to find out. and then he puts cream cheese in the bagel. They beg him to stop the restaurant, and they agree to end the war. And here's the thing: this is a very entertaining episode.
Yes,
but it's one of those episodes where you watch it and you go, we tend to have taken this podcast to like 30 minutes, and sometimes with these episodes you think that was really entertaining, but I don't know how we're going to dissect that. This isn't going to be a 30-minute episode. It's going to be a 20-minute episode. I got that wrong because I didn't realise there'd be 7 minutes of shit at the beginning of the episode. So I misjudged it. But despite the entertaining...
I don't know about you. I'm having fun.
No, I'm having a great time. It's just, it's just the listeners.
They're probably
Tell
not.
your friends. Please tell your friends. We need the subscribers to get
It's too late at this point, isn't it? What's our deadline? Is it the 16th of February? Yeah, apparently, and you guys in the future will know if we've succeeded or not, really, because the 16th of February, by the 20th, which is when the next episode of this show goes up, if we don't have 1,000 subscribers, we're getting demonetized, so...
Oh yeah, but surely if we then get to 1,000 after that, we
yes,
qualify.
But it will take several months to get that processed.
Oh, wow.
Because they're processing them all manually now. So we can hit...
Wow.
Even if we have 999 on the 20th, it won't matter. We'll be demonetized and will be demonetized for several months.
Is someone at YouTube not listening going, this is some high-quality towel talk, and, are they not invested in Dave's driving?
I know, that's what I was thinking. I was thinking, how can they demonetize this quality content?
Despite the fact that it's an episode where you go... that was entertaining, but it's just a solid episode of the show. It's not groundbreaking. It's not awful.
Yep.
That was some good times. Genuinely, and especially given the jolly tone so far of this episode, people are going to think I'm joking. But genuinely, for me, the presence of mozzarella sticks elevates it a little bit. And I just thoroughly enjoyed myself. And I just found it. I like food. That's not hidden. I like these characters. I'm glad. The one thing when Stephen was like, I'm going to open my own restaurant, I was in my head like, bring in the gems, bring them in here, and they did that. They basically, at every stage in this episode, did everything I wanted them to do. I thought it was very entertaining, and a good, it's a good episode, a good romp episode. We sometimes use that terminology for Doctor Who episodes when an episode is not particularly mythology heavy, but it's not bad either. It's just a good old watch.
Yeah, I tend to use it when Doctor Who does a slightly because there's two kinds of non-mythology Doctor Who episodes. There are the sort of more serious, dramatic, or sort of horror-based ones, and then there's just one. It's just let's just have a good time. Let's just do something silly and fun for a week. A little distraction from... Not distraction, that's the wrong word, because that makes it sound like filler. I don't think any episode of either of these shows could be considered necessarily filler, because I think that's... I'm not a fan of the word filler. I don't think anything is filler unless it's really achieving nothing for... If there's no entertainment value at all, then it's filler. But that's a different story. I think it's interesting here because... especially to do that Doctor Who comparison, because in Doctor Who, when I think of a romp... It's one of those episodes that steps aside to just have some fun with the concept and the characters for a week. Nothing too heavy, nothing really. So it's more about that sort of light tone when I think of romp. It's not just that it doesn't deal with the mythology, because I think there are Doctor episodes that don't deal with the mythology that are still dark and dramatic and interesting and have weight to them. I wouldn't call those episodes a
Blink.
romp. Yeah.
Blink is not a mythology episode, but it's,
But it's still got a lot of drama, quite dark.
Yeah.
So and Listen as well. I don't know if there's too much mythology in Listen, except for the very last few minutes. These are Doctor Who episodes, so listeners of this might not know what the hell we're talking about. But in terms of
the episode where Laphis is flying over the cities trying to find a home, that's not mythology based, but equally it deals with some fairly deep character based stuff.
Yeah, so you wouldn't call that one a romp, I don't think.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. Yeah. I'd say that's a Steven Universe example of what we're talking about.
Absolutely. And we've, in recent months, we were talking, as recently as January, we were talking in these episodes about wanting the Townies back, and this is perfect because I think that the thing you miss when you don't have the Townies in it for a long time is these episodes, these sort of slightly lighter, funnier. I mean, I won't list the jokes because that's not funny. But I laughed so much watching this. I laughed a lot out loud, and I'm not an out loud laugher when I'm watching stuff on my own. I'm usually a breathe through your nose sort of guy. Do you know what I mean?
I don't think anyone
like
is.
An exhale out your nose sort of thing.
I don't think anyone. I was thinking about this last night because like I find it interesting that when I watched it was Jack Whitehall's latest stand-up show, and I watched it with my mum and dad and Jess, and I'd already seen the first 20 minutes, but I laughed out loud more because laughter is infectious. So more than when I watched it on my own, and was still what was interesting is I was thinking to myself, although I'm laughing out loud more, my enjoyment level is exactly the same. Like it's just a purely like social reaction, maybe.
Yeah, and I think it's always nice as well to just sort of, like I said, sort of get more of these characters, because I very much like Kofi. I like Jenny and Kiki, who I think after a mix-up in the game, because for those of you who don't know, I've been playing through Save the Light on this channel, look on the channel for that. I finally stopped getting the sisters mixed up, Jenny and Kiki. I finally figured out which one is which is good, because I've been mixing them.
Kiki's younger, isn't she? Kiki's the younger, not part of the cool gang one.
Yes.
And Jenny, yeah.
Yeah. I acknowledge that it is weird that I've watched this show and loved the show for as long as I have and haven't quite figured out a way to define the two. But I could, because there's literally no reason for me not to. They are completely distinct characters. It's almost hard to do. It's more difficult to do what I've done, which is mix them up, than to get them the right way around, I think. So I've done a spectacular job of getting that wrong for many, many years. There was even in this podcast in its early days, there was an episode with the Cool Kids, and I referred to Jenny as Kiki because I just couldn't quite get my head around it. But yeah, a quest in the game, Save the Light, led to me finally having to learn which one is which. which is there you go. So it is.
That's awesome.
So the episode itself, I think the general plot is pretty simple but very effective. It's actually a really neat and kind of unique idea. It makes sense that they would have had some sort of treaty to not step on each other's toes. Their businesses are just pretty much next to each other. So it would make sense that these two restaurants would say, "Wait a minute, let's not sell foods that, you know, will infringe on each other's business." The idea that mozzarella sticks would be infringing on that is makes perfect sense in the world of Steven Universe, as does the following sort of pizza war. But my favorite moments from this, though, and I'm gonna say this, Chris, and you're not gonna you might not like to hear it, but I think one of the funniest parts of this episode is Ronaldo.
Yeah, definitely. He's great in this episode.
This is the perfect use for Ronaldo. When he uses his wheelies to wheel away to deliver the food.
Yeah.
That man, I was in stitches because it was the last thing I was expecting to happen, and he just slowly wheels out of frame.
And it was when he was like, I have a girlfriend, and everyone just stares for a moment, and no one feels mean enough to be like, do you?
Yeah.
But they're just like, well, where is she?
Yeah. And that's the thing as well, is that when I genuinely was surprised when she showed up, and I've seen this episode. I'd forgotten that gag, so that was very nice.
I wasn't surprised to see it, because that's what I mean. This episode does everything you want it to, because that's the best payoff for so many reasons to that is her being real and her appearing. And like I say, such a good use of the reason this episode doesn't make you go, oh, but it's Townie and I really like the Town episodes, but I miss the gems. Because, you know, I think fans can be a fickle bunch, and I myself have made counteracting complaints, like complaints that just counteract each other episode to episode. But so you kind of towards the end you're like, I could do with a bit of gems, and then the gems appear, and there's some amusing moments there as well. Mm-hmm. I really like when they're like, there's already a queue, and it's just Onion stood outside the door.
Oh, that's a great. I forgot about that. But he's holding a fork, which is my favorite element of that. Yeah. Because I was just like, how does he know? Or has he just shown up with a fork because he's Onion?
The really entertaining episode.
Yeah,
Really
it really is. It's interesting though, because I actually want to address some of what we were talking about. When we were at the barn and we were talking about going back to the town and stuff. People were like, "Oh yeah, but it's it's good to get so many mythology-based episodes." Right? I think there was some not confusion, but I think we didn't express ourselves as clearly. People were saying, "Oh, I like the balance," and what we were saying was, "We like the balance too." Hence, our not urge, but our desire for more Townie episodes when we had a long stretch at the barn, because a long stretch at the barn is a long stretch without Townie episodes. And I think what makes this, and to me, what's good about this show is that back and forth. I think the fact you can have a fun episode like this and then follow it up with something. I'm not saying what they're following it up with. In fact, I don't even actually 100% know what the next episode is off the top of my head, which says something. But the fact you could take an episode like this and you could easily follow it up with something dark and mythology-based and character-driven, that's the joy of this show, in my opinion. And I think that a lot of the online criticism that exists for this show is people describing huge portions of it as filler, including episodes like this. And I disagree with that on a fundamental level. I think that episodes like this are absolutely invaluable. Sometimes they give you a greater insight into the town and the people in it. It makes you, these episodes make you appreciate what the gems are fighting for the rest of the time. You know what I mean?
Right. That's the thing. It's almost, without enlightening the comments potentially, it's almost DC v Marvel. If you don't have episodes like this and your next mythology-based story is Yellow Diamond's going to come down and destroy the town and kill or try and burn everyone in it, that plot does not have the impact if you don't have episodes like this, because then you're just blowing up buildings like Man of Steel. You're not blowing up buildings where there are people that you care about and things you know about. There's no weight to it. It's just explosions. So you have to do both to make both things function, in my opinion. You have to make us care about the people that might get destroyed.
Yeah, I absolutely
agree. And you have to give the destroyers something to destroy to make them more villainous.
Yeah, I 100% agree with that.
And you have to not CGI out any mustaches. That's really.
But and I think that in a bigger project, a project with longer length, so something like Man of Steel, or I don't know, whatever example you want to give, you can weave them into the existing story in a way that means that you can do the mythology while setting them up so you care about the outcome. That's possible in a thing like a project that's longer than that. But when you look at a show like Steven Universe, where the episodes are 10 minutes, to make sure the episodes aren't horrendous, because they would be a horrendous mess each week if they were trying to cram in Townies and mythology stuff, they just do it episode to episode. Some weeks you're going to get a mythology thing, some weeks you're going to get some time with the Townies, and you'll notice if you go up top and you look at the first half of the first season, it's mostly doing the Townie stuff, and that's because they knew full well that they had to invest you in these people in this world before they could do anything with it, and I think that's invaluable. And the reviewers that dismiss everything prior to Ocean Gem, Mirror Gem, I think are actually really off. I think they're wrong. I genuinely think they're like horrendously wrong. But
it goes down to what do they want to achieve. It's the sorry to keep drawing comparisons with other shows, but it's the Office problem. The American Office. So you can't start with Mirror Gem, Ocean Gem. With The Office, people always point to Series 2. Like, I'll skip the first series, just go straight to Series 2. Series 2 starts with an episode called The Dundies, which depends on you knowing the other characters. You need to watch Series 1 to get to know them. Yeah. You can't just begin with Ocean Gem, Mirror Gem. Yeah. You have to build, like...
Yeah, I absolutely. And I think that in a show that if it was 20 minutes an episode or 42 minutes an episode, those would be more valid criticisms, I feel, because when your show's longer, you can get to do them in a less segmented way. It's not so much separated as Townie mythology, but that tends to happen here because if you want to do something well, you've got to focus a bit more. You can't weave between the two too much. There are episodes of this show that have done a bit of that and have gotten away with it just about, but there have been some episodes of the show that have suffered for trying to do that, So I strongly believe that. I think that I know where the criticism is born from. I feel like it's because the show has chosen to sort of be a bit more segmented about which are which, and it's easier to say that one is this kind, that one is this kind, from a fan perspective, from a reviewing perspective. But I think in reality, when you look at the show as a whole and the context of the show, I think these episodes are essential, absolutely essential. 100%.
And I think
I'd be more annoyed if there were too many of them or too few of them, but I think they get the balance just right, and that's why I like this show.
Yeah, and I think sometimes they do some really great. Like, this was just fun. Like, you had comedy, you had interest in the backstory, you had interest in what was going to happen. Like last week, we had last episode, we had a lot to talk about because of the certain aspects of the Kevin character, especially when running parallel with what's happening in today's society about issues such as how men treat women and all that kind of stuff. But you take that out, the street race element to me wasn't that interesting. It was very interesting because of what they did with it with the Kevin character. But if that Kevin character had just been Lars or something, less interesting.
Yeah,
this
way
one,
less interesting.
Because they had so many interesting elements and were making use of characters that we knew but didn't know that well, I just thought it all came together really, really nicely. And those mozzarella sticks looked so good, man.
Have you just woken up hungry this morning? Because for those listening, it's the morning.
You know what I think part of the problem is, and this will tell you about the role cheese plays in my life. Yesterday we went out for lunch to a new restaurant, and I have this thing where if the restaurant has, and I've never eaten there before, if the restaurant has cheesy garlic bread and mozzarella, like breaded mozzarella, I find it really hard not to order those two things because I like to judge restaurants on those two things.
Yeah, it's like if they can get this thing I love right, then we're good. We know we know we're in safe hands.
Yeah. So they had both of those things, and usually I'd be really ridiculous and like order one as a starter and one as a side, because But I didn't do that, Dan. Not only because trying to make better choices, but mainly I didn't order the breaded mozzarella, is what I'm saying. I know what you're thinking. Wow, he really is trying to be better. I knew there was breaded cheese in the evening, and it just seemed like no one should have breaded cheese for lunch and dinner. That's what I'm saying. That's the real learning point of this podcast. So I think what makes it worse is seeing how good Steven's mozzarella sticks looked, and knowing that I could have had mozzarella sticks yesterday and I didn't.
And you chose
That's
not
what's
to.
hard. That's why the episode brought up some pretty real stuff for me.
The real question, though,
is
the real question, Chris, is how did they get the sauce in the chips? In the fries, sorry.
Yeah, that was some powerful stuff. Because when he put them down, I was like, they're pretty thick. But I don't know if that would interest me as much because I commit crimes with chips and I don't really have tomato sauce. I have mayonnaise. So
yeah, that is a crime.
Yeah, I'll accept that. It's fine.
And I keep having to correct myself for American listeners who might not know, and I think most people do these days. I think there's enough cultural awareness to know. Yeah, in England we call fries chips. I'm sure people already know that.
Yes.
But
yeah. Although I think fries are thinner. I think chips are...
Yeah, in England we do use the word fries, but we tend to mean sort of a more American-style, thinner fries. When we talk about chips in England, we tend to mean sort of thicker, sort of like more potato-y, sort of sort of British chip shop chips, which are quite which are different in my opinion. So we have started to use the American phrasing to distinguish the thinner fries from the thicker British sort of style chips. That is true.
I think so.
I think that's happened by accident though. I don't think anyone designed that. I think when those words, I think chips was what we called them, and then over the years, the American word has become handy to use to describe the thinner ones.
Yeah, I agree.
Anyway,
so there you go.
What was I going to say? Apparently, Ronaldo's girlfriend has been seen before in Lion 2, the movie. I don't know if she was just in the background or...
Oh, that's pretty cool. Does she come back? You're not going to tell me, are you?
No, I'm not going to tell you. No, why would I tell you that? Why would I reveal that? I still love that we don't know Mr. Fryman's first name.
I liked his hair getting acknowledged.
Yeah, I like the yeah, and it was such an awkward moment. I think it was such an awkward moment. And then Kofi, obviously. I got a question actually. In this town, do people have to do jobs related to their name?
Yeah, I know.
Because it's like it's. I've never put the two together. Like I always just went, oh, isn't it weird that there's a family that make the food that their name is? And I'm either ever been referring to the Frymans or I've never realised both families are in like I've never actually thought about them both in the same sentence enough to go, wait a minute, the Frymans make fries and the pizzas make pizza. What is this? This is
Hold on a second.
and then of course I loved the reference to now this is a character I didn't really know was a thing until recently, but there's a character called Suitcase Sam. And he's basically a character that's never uttered a word in the show, but he appears in the background of loads of shots. He's a guy with an eye patch and a suitcase, and he's just always in the background. And I don't know if this is the first time he's been named. I didn't know he existed until I was playing the game. And there's a moment in the game when Steven's like, hey, it's Suitcase Sam. And I was like, oh, the idea is the joke that that's not a character from the show. And that we're just pretending is. And everyone in the comments was like, no, Suitcase Sam's been in the show since the beginning. And I was like, oh, okay. But yeah, he was referenced here. He was the guy who started up the restaurant called Everything Buffet. So I think that's
I wonder if Suitcase Sam is quite a bitter character.
Maybe. I don't know. I want more of Suitcase Sam, please.
Yeah.
What else? I'm sure there were... Oh, yeah. I noticed a lot of references to sort of styling of anime in the scene where they eat Steven's food. Lots of like anime style animation, the way that the camera was cutting and the and like all the noises and the way that things were dropping and the background changes, all that stuff is very anime. So I double checked, and apparently that scene is very specifically a scene to a lobster battle in a TV show called Chuka Ichiban, which I've never seen, but apparently in some countries its title is translated to Cooking Master Boy. So it's some sort of cooking-based anime that I have no knowledge of. They only made 40 episodes of it, 50 episodes of it, which sounds like a lot, but in anime that's nothing. That's basically a failure.
Well, I look forward to our podcast on that.
Yeah. So I thought that was interesting because I'd noticed that it was anime based, but I didn't place it to a specific anime, but apparently it is. Also, on the same, no, not the same, but on a similar note, Ronaldo calls Jane Ohimi-sama, which apparently is, I think I've pronounced that right, Ohimi-sama, which is Japanese for princess. So I thought that was a neat little touch.
Oh, that's nice.
Yeah. I hope we get like when I first watched this, I was desperate like to know how that like turned out. Did he get her back? What's the story?
Yeah. Yeah, that's how you get me. If you say to me if an episode is called Ronaldo's Love or Ronaldo's Quest for Jane, I'm in. Like this is how the show has got me a little more invested in Ronaldo. And a little more willing to get a Ronaldo story. I kind of almost don't like the way that was left hanging, and the way the rest of the characters didn't seem to care. Surely it's in Steven's nature that his next quest is getting Jane and Ronaldo back together.
Yeah, I would agree.
Yeah,
I would agree.
There we go.
On that subject, next week's episode is called Kiki's Pizza Delivery Service. So,
is it really?
Yeah.
Kiki, wow, that's going back to the pizza well quite quickly.
It does. I don't know if these episodes were originally designed to be in a different order and they just got shuffled for other reasons and it just led to the two pizza-based episodes being next to each other. But yeah, there we are. We are back to the pizza well as of next week or next episode.
Wow.
So that's to say nothing of the quality of the episode, of course.
No, but that's interesting.
Yeah.
Okay. Well, there you go, guys. 6 minutes of utter horseshit, and like 27 of some, all right analysis.
I'm surprised we actually had stuff to say because I like you. I sort of went, I don't know what we're gonna say about this one. In truth,
yeah, which is why I let the beginning be so free.
Yeah,
but then
I love the idea that they're gonna look at the time code, go 35 minutes for Restaurant Wars. They definitely tangent. They're gonna turn the episode on. They're gonna feel so smug for the first 5 minutes, like, oh my god, this is gonna be 30 minutes of tangent and 5 minutes of discussion, and then they're going to be quite surprised to find that about 6 or 7 minutes in, we managed to curb the conversation back. Yeah. But let's end on the question everyone's really asking: what's Dave up to? Has he come back? Has he driven back through?
No sign of Dave.
Disappointing. Well, come back next time as we find out the progress of Dave's driving. That's everything for this week. I've been Dan Doolan.
I've been Chris Billingham.
And we'll speak to you next time as we discuss Kiki's Pizza Delivery Service, plus Dave's driving.